So when I first started with landscape and travel photography almost a decade ago, I spent way too much money on gear I simply didn't need. Looking back, I was definitely guilty of chasing what everybody else had, thinking that that would make me a better photographer. But the truth is, there are only a few things beginners actually need to get started, and most of them are simpler than you think. So let me show you the things that you actually need and the stuff that you can totally skip. All right, so the first thing that you need, my friend, is obviously a camera, because without one, you're not taking any photos. I know, shocker. But, and here's the real kicker and secret, you don't need the latest and greatest full-frame beast. Although the camera companies, they will make you believe that that is what you need, then the camera does not take the photos. And my friend, if you just turn it out, you don't need that. What you will need is just a simple mirrorless camera, something like the Sony a6000 or the Canon R50 or the Fuji X-T30. Now the Canon and the Fuji I've not tried, but the Sony cameras I know pretty much inside out. Since the a6000 I've pretty much tried every single model, and I think I would honestly recommend the Sony a6-300 instead of the a6000 or even the Sony a6-400. These two cameras are fantastic, they're lightweight, they're more than capable, they can film 4K footage up to 30 frames per second, so if you're into creating content and videos as well, this will get you covered, as well as great photo capabilities. Some of my all-time best photos to this date are still captured on one of these bad boys right here. However, no matter what camera that you decide to go with, I personally think it's good to focus on a camera that allows full manual control and is able to capture raw photos when you're shooting. Then you will be good to go. And it's a massive bonus in my opinion, especially if you're doing landscape and travel photography, that it's small and compact. Because then it's easier to carry it with you, All right, so the second thing that you will need, my friend, is a good versatile lens. I said this so many times, but I would much rather save on the camera and buy a cheaper camera and more expensive lens than the other way around. And one good lens is much better than 3 bad ones. You understand? So pick something that you think is good. Also, since we're into landscape and travel photography, then I would personally pick something that is versatile, so you don't have to carry with you many lenses. That means a zoom lens, because then you're covered from multiple different focal lengths and you really only need one lens. I would also personally stay away from the kit lenses. In my experience, kit lenses kind of suck, and the camera companies are just making them to upsell beginners. So be hey, you can buy this camera and this garbage lens for a little extra money. Just don't buy it, save you on that and get a good lens. If you're talking about the Sony APS-C, then personally, I would probably pick up the Sony 16-55mm f2.8. This lens is an absolute beauty. I really like it and it's fantastic. However, it is a little bit more expensive, or it is a little bit on the more expensive side of the spectrum when it comes to APS-C lenses, 100%. A good alternative, in my opinion, would be the Sigma 18-50mm f2.8. That lens is incredibly good. I can't really see much of a difference in quality, and it's a lot smaller and more compact than the Sony version. So that one is probably one that I would recommend. But if you have a little bit more of that, moolah, and you don't mind the extra weight, then this one, good. Now, the third thing that you will need, my friend, and this is in order, in my opinion, I think, at least in order that I would pick it, and that is a lot of SD card. Now, I would at least get 2 or 3, but I carry with me a ton. I have 2 of these pouches. They're always stuffed with a lot of SD cards in them because, I don't know about you, but me, I've forgotten SD cards so many times. Once I drove single way 250, almost 300 kilometers, only to realize I had no SD cards with me, and then it was the same amount back. So total 500 kilometers for nothing. So now in my backpack, 2 of these pouches is filled with SD cards. Now, how big the SD cards you need depends on what you're gonna shoot and how much you're gonna shoot. Do think about if you're filming in 4K footage that you need a fast SD card. What brand? I don't know, pick whatever, really. SanDisks are very popular, Kingston too, but I'm sure you can find some other as well. Doesn't really matter. Just get what works for your camera and the type of content that you're gonna do, the type of photos and the type of videos as well, and just buy 1 or 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. I think 2 or 3, you're probably good to go. Now, the fourth thing, my friend, that I think is really important that I would 100% pick up too is a ton of spare batteries, especially if you are using a Sony APS-C. Now, I can't say for the other camera brands, but Sony APS-C, the older version, unless you're going with the a6-700, then you have these small batteries right here. These, my friend, they kind of suck. So I would have 5 or something like that, especially when you're going to be out in the field. They do deplete quite quickly. But if you do have a Sony a6-700 or a Sony full frame camera even, then you have these bigger batteries, and then you will not need 5. That's total overkill. Then 2 or 3 will be good. But no matter what camera band you use, pick up a few spare batteries and you're gonna be like, you're gonna thank me later. If not, you're gonna remember this and be like, no, why didn't I listen to this handsome ginger guy on YouTube? I should have done it. That's what I tell, my lady all the time. What am I doing? By the way, I recently created like a master bundle. So I bundled together all of my digital products, LUTs, presets, templates, film grain, and everything else that I have to offer in one bundle. You can find it in the description down below. Currently on a pretty ridiculous price. So this is what I use to color grade all of my videos, as well as just every single other product that I use to like speed up my workflow tremendously. And I wouldn't be able to do this without this. So anyway, in the description, you can check it out if you want to. Now, the fifth thing, or the fifth thing? I think so. I think it's fifth or fourth. I think it's the fifth thing. The fifth thing that I would 100%, or not 100%, I would pick up if you've already had the other things, is some sort of a camera bag. There are a lot of YouTubers out there selling a ton of camera bags. And the camera companies, they are really pushing out the camera bags. Do you need one? Not really, but it is pretty nice. What you don't really need is a super expensive one if you don't want to. I have a camera bag, this one here, like not sponsored. I bought this. This is a Compagnon camera bag from a German company. It is fantastic. It is also quite expensive, but I bought this one 2021, so it's a many years ago, and it still looks really, really good. The canvas is from Scotland and is high quality. And I often think like buy once or buy many times. So that is something to keep in mind. However, one thing that you can use, because you want to protect your gear somehow, you can buy these little cubicles, I think it's called, and basically put the gear in that. And especially if you only have like one camera and one lens, then you don't really need an all-out camera bag. You can find some sort of protectiveness and then put it in your bag that way. But some sort of things to hold your gear, very, very good. Now then the sixth thing that I would recommend, and something that I think you would like to have in your kit, and that is a tripod. Personally, I use a pretty expensive tripod. Like this is the Peak Design carbon fiber. It is way too expensive in my opinion, but it is pretty good. It is really lightweight and compact and perfect for travel and landscape photography in my opinion, because it's so small and so lightweight, and I value that a ton. I've also had it for quite some time and it's holding up quite good reasonably. Now I did ask my community, I run like this online community for photographers and creators, about some tripods and what they would recommend, and I got a bunch of different recommendations, so I'll throw it up here in the screenshot. But pretty much picking up some sort of a tripod is not something that you will regret in my opinion. You get use it for great landscape photos, filming yourself, and just looking all professional, putting up the tripod, be like, okay, brothers, and you see the ladies there and go like, you see the tripod here? There's more where that came from. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, on to the next one. Now, there are a lot of things that you will see online that you might think that you have to get, especially as you're a beginner. Brands are trying to push things on you. And I have a little list of things that I think that you don't really need. And by the way, if you want to like level up your photography and content creation for free, then I do send out like weekly newsletter. It's basically just packed with tips on things that I wish I knew. I'm writing to my past self, and I'm feeling it is on how to grow as a photographer, how to create a sustainable and a profitable business around content creation as a photographer. And it's in my opinion, it's really good and I really enjoy writing it. So you can sign up there, and as a thank you, you will get my black and white preset pack for free as well. So it's in the description down below. Anyway, what are the things that you don't need? So in my opinion, you will not really need filters. Sure, ND filters are nice. They're like sunglasses for your camera, but when you're just starting out, they're not really needed. I know that if you want to have like the perfect motion blur and you're thinking about the rule of thirds, I was actually going to say the 180-degree rule, which like the shutter speed interacts with the frame rate, then yes, you will need ND filters. But in a run and gun environment, I often don't use them and you guys don't complain at all. So I don't think that it's not that necessary. UV filters, you don't really need. I don't really know why people are selling them. And you can, of course, buy a bunch of different fun filters for looks. Mist filters is something that I like a ton. I have a mist filter on my camera right now, but it's not really needed. It's more like an extra if you like. So ND filters and mist filters, not needed, but it could be like something that you like to have. Another thing I don't think you really need is drones. Yes, drones are fantastic. Aerial photography to me, I love and I rely so much on it. But as a beginner landscape photographer, I think I would either pick a drone or a camera first and get used to and acquainted to that. And I would probably go with a camera first myself, maybe because I did that, but I also did that because drones didn't really exist when I started out. And as once I'm like getting a little bit hang of it, I would pick up a drone next time. Else you're like trying to split your like attention and learning two things at the same time. So pick either one. In my opinion, I think camera would 100% be what I would go with. Another thing you don't really need is like a gimbal. Gimbals are fantastic if you want to create those like specific type of smooth footage. Really essential for advertising and creating these high quality commercial things. But for content creation and travel things, it's just gonna slow you down. I own 2 gimbals. I've owned 3, hardly ever used them. They're just dust collectors. So like the gimbals, my friend, unless you're doing some high-end stuff, which I don't think you are doing because you're watching this video, my friend, okay? And while I have your attention, if you could smack that like button for me, it would really mean the world to me. And then another thing I don't think you really need, but it's really tempting, and that is to buy multiple lenses at the same time. As I told you before, I would pick one lens, one good lens, learn how to use that, and then I would move on to the next one. However, new gear, it's a lot of fun, and I get it. It's really exciting. I know. I'm 100% with you there, brother. But I think for me, the trick is to keep it simple. And a matter of fact, I do believe that in this day and age, you only need 2 lenses to capture banger photos. And if you want to find out what lenses those are, then my friend, you should watch this video here next.